Well, hello heroes and villains, my name is Ash and welcome back to my channel. So we know why we're here. We are here for chapter 2 of the Library of Dragons Readathon. It feels like it's been forever, but also feels like it's been not that long since chapter 1, especially for people that just joined. Then it definitely doesn't feel like it's been that long, has it? I am the one and only host for the Library of Dragons Readathon, which is a D&D inspired readathon. In November, we created our dragon. In side quest 1, we made our way to our realm, and then now in chapter 2, we will be building our realm from the ground up, mapping it out, kind of discovering what's going to be there. So let's just get into some of the information about this. I'm going to be answering some frequently asked questions at the end of the video. Every chapter in side quest will have a Q&A sheet in the folders on the document. So I will of course put the Google Drives and documents and Excel sheets down below in the description. That is where you'll find everything. Go into the folders for the side quests and chapters to find the spreadsheets as well as the Q&As. So if you have any questions, go to the Q&A. If you still have questions, go to the Discord or ask in the comment section below. I know sometimes it's hard to ask questions because you don't want to ask questions that have already been answered before. I understand that completely. I feel bad when I can't find an answer. I know it's somewhere, but I can't find it. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Although do try to look at the Q&A sheet in case you have questions, and I will ask again at the end of this video. I will also answer some. The only prerequisite to start this chapter is to, of course, complete chapter 1. Chapters have to be done in sequential order, so you have to finish chapter 1 in order to do chapter 2, do chapter 2 to do chapter 3, so on and so forth. Side quests do not have to be done in any order. You can literally do side quest 2, 1, 4, 3. We only have 1 right now, but you can do them in any order you want. You can do side quest 1 after chapter 2. You don't have to do them in order. So side quests are completely optional. You do get more trust points for it, but chapters are mandatory. If you don't want to do this in June, if you want to continue this into May, July, that's completely fine. There's a decent amount of prompts in this, so I would recommend almost to do it in multiple months. I'm going to be doing this myself probably over the course of 2 months, if not more if I have to. Chapter 3 isn't until November, so you don't really have to worry about completing this really quickly. You can take your time if you have to. And June is usually a really heavy readathon month because it's Pride Month in June. So if you're taking part in other readathons, you can either try to join this up with mine, or you can just wait until July. No rush. No, there's no time frame. Just enjoy whatever you want to do and take your time. So we're going to be starting chapter 2. We're going to be building our realm. We're going to be choosing places and buildings, and we're going to have a fun time reading prompts in order to get these buildings and places. Just keep in mind that you can choose multiple prompts or places in each category as long as it's not the homestead. I did a whole Google document explaining some of the prompts a bit more, explaining more detail about things. If you want to add your own locations and places, I have more explanation on that on the Google document. I already ramble enough in my videos. I didn't want to add more to the video and make it like an hour long, so I decided to just put it in the document. So if you're curious about what to do in situations where you have your own places you want to make or anything like that, I would recommend looking at the document or asking on Discord. So now I'm about to move on to the prompts, but I want to mention one more thing. It's important to know that you can be locked out or locked in to certain outcomes later on in the future. If you decide that you want a certain building in the future because you don't want to be locked out, you can technically just read a book for one of these prompts and just get the building if you really want to. But if you want to be genuine and choose and be stuck with those choices regardless of the outcome later on, then I would recommend choosing wisely. For example, there is a cafe that you can choose. If you decide to have a cafe, you can unlock the career path of a baker. If you do not have a cafe, you cannot become a baker. So there are certain choices you can make that will lock you out later on in the future if you decide to stick with your choices. But in September or December, you want to have a cafe and become a baker, you can just read a book for that prompt if you really want to. Just depends if you want to commit to your choices or not. I will probably commit to my own choices, but if you want to just not worry about that, you are completely fine with doing that. Stretching prompts, doing anything you want is completely allowed in this readathon because I don't really care. It's not really competitive or anything, so I feel like there's no reason for me to be critical over your choices. So this is like for fun. This is for fun. Don't do anything that's not fun for you. So now we're gonna go to the prompts. I'm gonna go through this a little bit quickly because I already talk a lot. So let's just go through these. If you need for them to be explained more, they will be on the Google document. But I will go through the prompts now quickly because there's a decent amount of them. There are 7 categories with 3 available places, which means there's around 21 or so prompts. Do as many as you want, but I don't recommend doing all of these because that's a lot, unless you really, really want to, but you cannot do the homestead ones. So if you did all of them without all the homestead options, you'd have 19 prompts. That's a lot, but you can double up on prompts. You can triple. You can put as many prompts on one book as you want if you really want to do that. If you want to make it harder for yourself, put only 1 prompt on book. But keep in mind, you can double up on prompts. So let's get to the prompts now and talk about them. So the first category are the buildings. These are the main buildings that your character will be attending to or going to. You can choose which ones you want. These are the only ones I might even say to do all of them in, but you don't have to. This is completely optional. For this one, there is a castle, there is a school, and there are barracks. If you decide to have barracks, you will eventually have better defenses in the future. If you do the castle, you will have royalty in your realm. So if you do not have a castle, you will not have queens or kings or princes in your realm. So you need a castle if you want royalty. If you're someone that doesn't have a royalty, then you don't need to have a castle. But just keep in mind these things are important. So I think these 3 are the ones that you might want to consider doing all of them of, but you do not have to. For castle, you have to read a book featuring royalty. For school, you have to read a book in a school setting, of course. For the barracks, you have to read a book with fighting, war, violence, anything in that category. This could be nonfiction as well, or it could be fiction. Fantasy is a very easy option for this. If you're having trouble with this, you could also take this in the realm of a mental battle, a mental fight. If you're not someone that reads a lot of fantasy, stretch this as much as you can. The next category is one that you see very often in the D&D or Dungeons & Dragons sphere. This is where a lot of journeys begin, and this is going to be the tavern. As usual, there are 3 options for this. We have the traditional tavern. There is an inn, there's maybe some drinks, there's food. It's what we see very often and most often in the RPG fantasy space. For a traditional tavern, you have to read a book that you've heard a lot about or a popular book. The second option is a cafe. So think pretty much Legends and Lattes, a place that sells baked goods, maybe teas and coffees. It could still have an inn, obviously above the cafe, or you can even have, some alcohol with your caffeine and coffee. That would be a fun time, I guess, for some of the patrons. For cafe, this one's a little bit tricky, but this is to read a book that reminds you of your favorite baked good or drink. So if you have coffee, if you have tea, if you like cinnamon rolls, if you like cake, something that reminds you of your favorite foods or drinks. This is a little bit tricky, but if you want to make something easier, you can also read a book with a cafe in it. Something that features a cafe. It doesn't have to be the main place or setting, it just has to be in the book. The last place you can choose for the tavern is a hideout. Maybe there's a secret spy network. Maybe people are hiding and trying to take over your realm, or it might be good people, it might be people that are trying to overthrow the government. Think of like Mistborn Era 1, or it can be something that is more ominous. So this is like a tavern that has a secret hideout maybe underneath it. Think of like Six of Crows or something like that. For hideout, you have to read a book with rebellion, misfits, crime, hidden motives, etc. Anything within that realm. The next category is library and museum. I kind of combined it. I feel like it'd be kind of nice to have both of them in the same. The first option for a museum and library is a magical one. For this, you have to read a book featuring magic. The second option for the category is a hidden or a secret library or museum. This one might be hidden because it's restricted. You're not allowed to go there. Maybe they're very powerful spell books here. Maybe there's information we don't want the public to know. That might be interesting. For the hidden and secret option, you have to pick a book blindly. This is more explained on the document, but there's a bunch of ways you can do this, which is kind of fun. I like this one. And the last option is a personal library and museum, one that you have your own collection of things or your own collection of books. Like I said, you can choose multiple of these. So if you want to have a public library and also have your own personal one, you can choose 2 of these options if you want to. For the option of a personal library, you have to read a book that you've been meaning to get to, one that you've wanted to get to for a while. Maybe you've just kind of been putting off, one that you've been interested in recently. We still have 4 categories to go, so let's go to the next one. The next category is a monument. This one could be in the middle of your realm, kind of like the centerpiece. This could be something that you see when you walk in, just something that is there. This is completely optional. There's nothing really important about this one, so this is optional to you. If you want your monument to be based off of an animal or a dragon, you have to read something off of your dragon's vibe. Like I said, this is more explained on the document, but the aesthetic of your dragon, the size of your dragon, the personality of your dragon can dictate your book. So like I said, explain more in the document, but I kind of like this one. It's kind of fun. If the monument is of a person, it could be someone that's really important to the history of the realm, or it could be, I don't know, the king and queen. Maybe it's a hero or someone from the past. For this one, you have to read a book that was published 10 plus years ago. So at least 10 years ago. So from 2014 or older. You don't want your monument to be an animal or person or anything like that. And you want it to be just like a fountain. Maybe it's just like a centerpiece that's just really pretty. You have to read a book with a cover that stands out to you. Either a really beautiful cover, one that just stands out from other books, anything like that. The next category is temples. If you don't have any standing temples left and you only have ruins for temples, you have to read a book featuring redemption, betrayal, things that are rebuilt or forgotten. If you have maintained temples, so ones that are still standing, that are still flourishing, then you have to read a book that is featuring religion, gods, beliefs. This could also be like angels, demons, anything that's kind of in mythology of religion. It doesn't have to really be like very centered on religion. It could just be something that is reminiscent of it. If you have no temples at all in your realm, you have to read a book that you know nothing or little about, which for me is very easy because I don't really go into my books knowing much about them. So this is pretty obvious and easy. You have to pick one for temples because you will either have none or you'll have some or you'll have ruins. You have to kind of pick one for this category because you have to at least have none or you have to have some of them. So for this one, you definitely should pick one. Next category is one you can also choose all of them of, but you at least need one of, and that is the merchant area. The first one is a market. This is places that can be collapsed down. This is kind of on the street and the roads. Maybe there's like festivals and people make up the markets. And if you choose markets, you're going to have to read a book featuring joy, celebration, or culture. If you have stores that are already kind of built into your realm, maybe they have their own shops and stores, you'll have to be reading the prompt for shops. That is a book that you've recently acquired. Either you bought it, gifted it to you, library hold, anything like that. As long as you got it recently, that counts. Or on the darker end of things, you could have a black market. This isn't the most legal place, but you can buy things from here if you have one of these, which I feel like most places would secretly have it. But if you want to actually have this in your realm, you have to steal a book from someone else's TBR. This could be from a June TBR video, but if you're someone like me who usually gets their books a little bit ahead of time because of library holds, you can also just watch old videos of people's TBRs and just take books from their TBRs. It doesn't have to be very recent ones. It could be anything from a few months ago to last month, whatever you want to do, as long as it's from someone else's TBR. It could be someone else from the Readathon or a video on BookTube. Whatever you want to do, just take someone else's book and steal it from them. And the last category is your homestead. This is where you're going to be living in your realm, or at least kind of staying, if not temporarily, then permanently. The first option is to have a lavish house. Big, beautiful, just impeccable, pretty well off compared to everyone else in the realm. For this, you have to read a book that has gems, gold, silver on the cover. So if your book has a foil cover, or even under the dust jacket, if you have any foiling under there, that does count as well. So as long as it has gems, diamonds, gold, silver, or any type of metallic anything on the cover, so even if the font is metallic, that does count. The second option is a substantial house. This is just kind of moderate house. It's kind of, you know, middle class kind of. You're doing well. You're not doing amazingly and lavish, but you're still doing well. For this, you have to read a book with under 50,000 ratings on Goodreads. I try to find a reasonable number. I think 50,000 is a bit high, but some people might not read very many smaller-ish authors. I mean, 50,000 is still a lot of ratings, but I try to be reasonable with this. If you want to make it harder for yourself, I would say under 30K would be even better. And the last option is a humble homestead. One that is a little bit small. Maybe it's just for you. Maybe your dragon has to kind of sit outside, if it's a bigger one, of course. If you don't even have a house, you can also choose this option. It's kind of like the lower end of the class. I also think that if you want to make your way up through different types of homesteads, maybe you start humble and you go up to lavish eventually because of the things that you do in the future. Maybe you become a hero and you eventually get a really lavish house. For the time being, I will also be doing the humble household, and maybe in the future I will be going up as time goes on. If you are choosing the humble homestead, you have to either reread a book or give a book a second chance. So those are the 21 options for all the prompts, 7 categories. Like I said, you can't really do 21 anyway. I think 19 would be the most you can do. These are still a lot of prompts. I also have to mention, if I said that a book features something, you could also have it in the title of the book. So like I said, if you say a book featuring magic, you can have spells, witch, wizard, anything that sounds or has similar references to magic in the title, that also counts, along with the series title. So if there's a book featuring royalty, if there's prince, princess, king, queen, duchess, duke. It's Duke, not Dutch. But if there's any royalty in the title or the series title, like the Cruel Prince, that would count. Some people don't know what's in the book yet. They might not have read it. They don't know if there's going to be magic in a book or whatever. So if you don't really have an idea of what's featured in the book, especially the one that has like rebellion and crime, if you have a cover that's like a thriller cover and it has a word in it that's like murder or something, that's technically a form of violence and crime. So you can use whatever's in the title and the series title as well if you do not know what to do in regards to the books that feature things. You have completed chapter 1, side quest 1, and chapter 2. Once all these are completed, you should have at least minimum of 5 trust points, which means you can get a +2 to your character sheets. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it'll be in the character sheet folder, but it'll be further explained in there. Essentially, that is your first perk. Once you have 5 trust points, you get your first perk, which is a really fun time, and it will benefit you for November when we do our rolls, because we definitely want to make sure that we get good rolls on those, so we get better prompts and easier prompts. Again, another big part of my readathon is if you read at least 50% diversely in your side quests and chapters, other than chapter 1, that one doesn't count, but every other one you get 1 extra point. So chapters, you get 1 point of trust. If you do at least 50% of your books to be diverse, then you get 2 trust points, and then for side quests, you get 2 points of trust, and if you do 50% diverse, you get 3. Later on, there will be currency. I'm going to be adding eventually. You will be getting more currency from your main quests and less from your side quests. So it will balance out. You get more trust from side quests, but you'll eventually get less money from that. And then you get less trust points from your chapters, but you get more income. So yes, for the time being though, just focus on trust points and try to get as many as you can, so that way you can eventually get more benefits and perks in the future. If you don't read diversely, that's completely fine. You will at least get 1 from every chapter. Keep track of your trust points, and you should at least have 5 if you completed your first side quest. Then you should have 5 at this point. So everyone should at least have the first perk if they did chapter 1, chapter 2, and the side quest. So luckily I'm getting to the end of this video. I'm going to answer the most frequently asked questions though, because I feel like that's important to do. The first one is, what is diverse, or what qualifies as diverse? And I think this one is pretty simple. Anything that has any type of diversity in it, any type of representation in it, as long as it's done well. I wouldn't say that if there was a token BIPOC character, please don't count that. Or if there's a side character who's gay, but like they're mentioned one time that like, oh, my aunt or uncle is gay, that doesn't really count. And it is going to be Pride Month next month. So I definitely think that if you want to put in some LGBTQIA plus books, that'd be a really good time to do it. There's also mental health representation. There's body representation. There's like everything you can think of. Just try to be conscious of it. And own voices, I would recommend even more if you can. Whatever you think counts legitimately, please don't try to stretch this. This is the only thing I would say don't stretch, because it really shouldn't be. If you think it counts and you are being sincere about it, then I would count it. At least 50% has to be. So if you read 7 books, 4 have to be diverse. If you read 10, 5 do. So as long as it's at least 50%, if not, it has to be more if you're reading an uneven amount of books. Can I double up on prompts? Yes. If you want to do a lot of these prompts, I would almost recommend that yes, you probably want to double up. You can even triple up if you can. Put as many prompts as you want on a single book. Some people read more books than others. I don't want people to have to be forced to read 10 books if they want to do 10 prompts. If you want to make it difficult for yourself, go ahead and do a book for each prompt, but I'm going to be doubling up because, like I said, I think I have around 10 or 11 prompts I want to get to, and I will not be able to get to all of them if I read one book for each. So double up, triple up, quadruple up if you want, but if you want to make it harder for yourself, you can try doing one for each one that you choose. The last question I don't really want to answer here because it's way too long. I wrote it out, but I think it might be too long for me to do in this video, but it's if you want to add your own buildings, if you want to do your own thing, what do you do in that situation? Some people have given really good ideas of places they want to add into their realms, like a lighthouse, or if maybe you want to have a certain building there that's important to you. If you want to add these places, there are a few options on the Google document, although I pretty much said that you can either just add them yourself. If you just want to add them without a prompt, you can do that. If you really don't like any of my prompt ideas, I apologize for that. If you want to add buildings I didn't even think of, add them without worrying about prompts. Just kind of use mine as a way to set up simpler ideas of your realm and then add on to that afterward without having to worry about fulfilling prompts. I really want to say like a huge thank you for everyone that's taking part. Even if you're not taking part, I just appreciate you. I would assume that you're not here if you're not taking part in it, because that would be kind of strange, but regardless, I still appreciate you being here. People have been sharing this and talking about it, and my little Discord has 91 people now, which is so happy. It makes me so happy. There's like so many people now. If you want to leave the Discord, do it. I don't mind if you don't want to be a part of it. I don't feel bad if you leave. Few people have already, and I don't think it tells me if you leave. I know it says arrivals and farewells. I don't think it says that you're leaving because I haven't seen it yet. Even if that's the case, I don't really mind. I understand if you don't want to be a part of Readathon anymore, or you have too many servers or anything like that. So if you want to leave the Discord or you want to join it and then go, that's okay. That's completely fine. I do appreciate people that are joining, talking, and just kind of being a part of the community. There is more information on the Discord. There are things that are kind of like sneak peeks and updates. So if you want to see more stuff that's going to eventually happen, it's a good place to go. You don't have to talk, but if you want to just be there for updates and everything like that, that's a good place to be. The second side quest is supposed to be happening in September. Originally, I didn't think I had ideas for it, and I didn't know if I was going to be doing it because I have all these other ideas I want to do. But if I do the side quest, it will be in September. I will say something about it a month beforehand, but it should be the one where we choose our career paths, and it'll be kind of the way where we can start getting currency. Currency will be important later on in the future because we want to buy potions. That's why it's really important to have a place where you can buy things, because you want to make sure you can get, you know, potions and everything like that. And potions will be important in the future when we want to fight things and, you know, heal ourselves as we're fighting. There's also going to be another important aspect to currency. It has a little bit more information on the Discord about this, but there's also another place that you might want to use your currency. Think of it like a cat cafe, but with dragons. Just tiny and small ones though. It's gonna be about this big or like this big. So they're small ones that need to be adopted, like a cat cafe. I'm excited to be doing it. It's going to be something I draw once in a while. It probably will be happening between the months of the Readathon. So it can happen anytime between the months of March, June, September, and November. So I might just pop them up randomly. If you're on the Discord, we're going to be naming them. Everyone's going to have help naming them. If you have any ideas for types of dragons, I will have them on there. There has been so many genius ideas on my Discord. I am mind blown how creative you all are. Some people have given me really good ideas. I'm not the best drawer, but I'm going to try my best to draw them and have little bios about them. And there will not be a limited amount because I don't want everyone to kind of be like fighting for who gets what. There will be a naming process. Everyone's going to you know, have a part in the naming process, and the best ones are going to get a poll, and everyone kind of picks on the poll what the name of the dragon's going to be. So it's going to be a fun time. If you want to be in the Discord, that's there. If you don't want to be in the Discord, I will also be putting up an announcement video for the adoptable dragons. So if you do not want to be in the Discord, you don't have to be. I will have announcement videos for them. They won't really have any purpose other than aesthetics and being cute. So if you don't have to worry about getting these if you don't want to, they will not benefit you in the future or give you any kind of perks in the future. They're just cute. And I think that's worth it still, in my opinion. So I've been talking enough. Like I said, if you want to have more information, it'll be on the Google document. I'll put it down below. There should be everything down there. Like I said, look into the folders to find the Excel sheets to copy and paste onto your current Excel sheets. But if you have any questions, go to the Discord and ask me there, or go below. Make sure you check the Google document first in case there's any questions that are already been answered. I try my best to answer the questions there. If someone asks any questions I think are relevant or important, I will put it on the FAQ page, because sometimes I just forget. People might not know answers for certain things. I just completely forget to answer it myself. So that is it for chapter 2. I am taking part in my own readathon because I made this readathon to be fun and something I would love. So of course I'm going to be doing it myself. I just really appreciate everyone that's been doing this and people that are doing videos, and it just makes my heart really happy. I am really shy in real life though. So when people talk about my readathon in videos, I'm like so shy and like timid, and I get so embarrassed, but I love it at the same time. So with that, I'm going to end the video off here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all for taking part. If you are here, I just appreciate you so, so much. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great reading month in June. Have fun, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.